In this video, you'll see the difference of interacting with familiar village dogs versus unfamiliar ones. In the first clip before the cut, we're moving through the local park. My dogs and these dogs know each other, and they have interacted several times in the past. Everyone greets each other and feels confident, trusting, and safe around each other. In the second video after the clip, we take a street up the hill right off that same park, and it's a street that we have never walked before. This street, because it's so central, gets a lot of dog traffic as well, for sure. So it isn't that the dogs in this street aren't used to dog traffic. It's more specific. They aren't used to my dogs in their space. So you see a lot more barkiness from their side, and Chai seeks out my side at one point to delegate, keeping the bubble around me a safe space for her, so she doesn't have to deal with it. That's what I do when you see me using the stick to keep the dogs who want to sniff her at bay. At the spot in the second video where I turn around quickly with the stick facing back down the direction of the park, this is my reaction to the brown dog who later sniffs game, giving me a warning bite in the leg. This is something that happens now and then. When I say now and then, what I mean is this is the second time I remember off the top of my head. So really, it happens rarely, and when it does, it is very tentative and not painful at all. It's as if you gently and very briefly grabbed me in the back of my leg with your hand like this and immediately let go again. So no big deal at all. When arousal levels are high and humans intervene in the free communication of dogs, this happens right after I made a safe bubble around me for Chai, right? So sometimes in a situation like this, teeth will end up on a human. But even calling this a bite kind of feels wrong to me because of how tentative it is. It's just a dog trying out a behavior without the intent to do harm. The vast majority of dogs who are not socially isolated will know perfectly well how they would have to bite in order to do harm. So this dog purposefully does not want to do harm to me. The reason I'm including this in my intro, even though you can't see it on camera because my camera is not facing the dog because I didn't know the dog was gonna do that biting behavior. But the reason that I'm saying this here and explaining it, because it makes such an important point. And that point is, dogs have teeth and they use their mouths to communicate because they don't have opposable thumbs like we do. That does not earn them the label aggressive. That label would be unfairly applied to this brown dog here, for example. It's just a dog doing dog things. The dog is not aggressive and there is nothing wrong with this dog. Also, quick change of topic, a pet peeve for all the dog trainers working with clients out there. Obviously, if you take on a dog who has been labeled aggressive, that is an entirely different situation from what you see in this video, where I'm simply moving through the world with my girls. But the gentle nip this village dog gave me reminds me of something I think is important. We as dog trainers need to accept that we will occasionally get bit. If you're not ready for this to happen, then behavior cases probably should not be among the things you sign up for. And that's okay too. Just like, do trick training, loose leash walking. There's lots of stuff out there. But don't sign up for working with dogs who have been labeled as aggressive. If you're afraid of dog bites, you should not work with dogs who have been labeled as aggressive because you won't treat them fairly. It's not a big deal when a dog puts teeth on you. Sometimes allowing it to happen is part of an evaluation. The smart thing to do is to wear protective gear, not stay on the other side of a barrier. Why? Because barriers change the behavior of dogs. If we want to fairly assess dogs, we need to assess them in a situation where dog bites could realistically occur or have occurred in the past. And if there is a barrier between a human and a dog or a dog and another dog, dog bites cannot realistically occur, so we cannot realistically assess this situation. A dog barking and flipping out behind a fence means nothing. A dog trying to do damage when there is no fence is a different case. A dog putting their teeth on you so you can barely feel it, the way this dog did here in the street, is an entirely different category again. And of course, you always need to take context where these things happen into consideration. All of these dogs that I just mentioned, those hypothetical dogs, may bark and posture, and all of them may display what is often referred to as barrier frustration, or they may not show any of these of these behaviors, right? And that's because barking, posturing, and barrier frustration are not the same as being human aggressive or dog aggressive. Those are entirely different. For example, barrier frustration is totally understandable. Put yourself into your dog's shoes for a moment. I, too, would be frustrated if you kept me in a cage and walked lots of dogs and people past on the other side, but never let me participate in life outside of the fence. I'd either run up and down the barrier and yell at the top of my lung, or I'd sit down in a corner and be depressed. So, the last clip in this video is for all the dog trainers watching this who work with clients. It shows an example of barrier frustration. These are not aggressive dogs. I mean, they may be, but we cannot know unless we do a proper assessment, and a proper assessment doesn't happen with a fence between you and the dog. Also, if we did that proper assessment, it would be unlikely that we'd find true human or dog aggression, simply because behaviors I would label human or dog aggression are pretty rare. So that very last clip in this video shows barrier frustration as we keep walking up the hill, my dogs and me. Barrier frustration is very common. Actual aggression is very rare. All right, that's it for today. Enjoy the video. More park dog interactions. Brav is Midi. It's a wide angle camera, that's why the dogs look a little bit long and odd. This collie mix really seems to like a game. Okay. Darkest smelling game just gave me a warning bite. It happens. dogs are behind the fence, frustrated because they can't come out. Beautiful huskies behind the fence.